Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really interesting that happened in Paris recently. It looked like just fashion shows, but it was actually much, much bigger.
Oh, definitely. It was quite the contrast, wasn't it? You had Paris Fashion Week, this was October 2025, and two huge players putting on shows that were just worlds apart.
Yeah, so on one side, you've got Dior, that's LVMH, obviously doing their show.
Huh.
And our sources, they're calling it a coronation. Very exclusive, Tuileries Garden, invite only.
Right, like 300 people max. Brigitte Macron was there, all the A-listers, super quiet, very reverent. It's that classic luxury playbook.
Mhm.
Scarcity, mystique. You're special because most people aren't there.
That's the LVMH way, what we've kind of called the Vatican of Desire. It's
Yeah.
all about creating this cultural nation based on being chosen on distance.
Exactly. But then, just across town.
L'Oréal Paris, near City Hall. And this is where it gets really stark. Their show, totally open, public, huge.
Yeah, not 300 guests, more like 3,000 students, tourists, influencers, people who probably wouldn't get that Dior invite in a million years.
But they're getting this front row, massive scale experience. It felt completely different.
And that's L'Oreal's whole counter-argument, isn't it? We call it the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's about making aspiration accessible, but on a huge scale. Inclusive elevation, community vibes. It's saying luxury can be for the millions, not just the few hundred.
And critically, the analysis we're digging into today, this comes from Mark Abergel. He's a luxury executive in Paris. Really deep insider knowledge, he says, this contrast. It's absolutely deliberate.
Not an accident at all.
He's saying this is the first real shot fired in the next big luxury war. And the immediate battleground, it's the Armani empire, the succession there, that 7 billion pooler question.
Right. Abergel's point isn't just, who gets Armani. It's that this whole thing signals L'Oreal making a direct play against the LVMH dominance, using a totally different strategy.
So it's the fortress versus the open stadium, mystique versus scale.
Precisely.
Okay, let's dive into that first battle then, Armani. When the whole succession thing started bubbling up, what was the general feeling in the industry?
Oh, the consensus was immediate. LVMH wins. No question.
Why so certain?
Well, look at their track record, right? LVMH are the masters of taking these slightly faded heritage brands and making them mega brands again. Think Dior, think Tiffany more recently, even Loro Piana.
They know how to polish the crown jewels.
Exactly. So Armani, huge name recognition, but maybe seen as a bit quiet lately. It looked like a perfect project for LVMH. The industry basically saw L'Oreal as, the beauty giant trying to play in the high fashion league, maybe out of their depth.
But that view misses something huge, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's the secret weapon, the Trojan horse, that L'Oreal has here?
It's the license. This is absolutely key. L'Oreal has held the Armani beauty license since 1998.
1998. Wow, okay.
Yeah, for over 2 decades. And think what that means. They haven't just been selling Armani perfume and makeup. They've been managing the Armani customer relationship globally.
Right, let's slow down on that because it's important. When LVMH buys, say, a watch brand, they have to figure out who buys it, where, why. They're learning from zero.
Totally.
Yeah.
They buy the name, the history, then they do the deep dive on the customer. But L'Oreal, if they get Armani fashion, it's not like that. They're reunifying the brand.
Reunifying. How so?
They already know the Armani customer, empirically. They have the data. They know who buys what in Asia, in the Middle East, in the Americas, places where Armani has this kind of quiet strength. They know the demographics, the spending habits.
So LVMH acquires and learns. L'Oreal acquires and
Yeah.
connects the dots they already have.
Exactly. It's like plugging the fashion house into an existing massive data-rich distribution and customer intelligence system. The synergies, especially across product development distribution, they're immediate. LVMH is bidding on an asset. L'Oreal is bidding on completing a system they already partly run.
That makes the 7 billion valuation seem less like the price tag and more like...
The down payment. That's Abergel's point. Armani isn't the end goal. It's the test case. If L'Oreal can take Armani fashion and successfully apply their Coliseum model, mass reach, data intelligence, inclusive aspiration, then it validates their entire strategy for potentially going after other brands.
Okay, so this really is an operating system war, as you put it. It's not just about who writes the biggest check. LVMH, value through scarcity, keep people out. What's the core belief driving L'Oreal?
It's that aspiration scales better than exclusion. LVMH bets on distance creating desire. L'Oreal bets on access and community creating loyalty and, ultimately, volume. They think they can make millions feel part of the luxury dream, not just the few who get the invite. Inclusive elevation is the term they use.
And this maps onto what we're seeing with younger consumers, right? Gen Z.
Absolutely. The analysis points out that Gen Z often values authenticity, transparency, community experiences, maybe more than the traditional velvet ropes and, deliberate exclusion.
The Vatican model can feel a bit staged, old school.
Potentially, yeah. Whereas L'Oreal's big, open, public show, that structurally aligns better with wanting to feel part of something rather than kept out of it. It feels more, democratic, even if it's still selling expensive things.
But is inclusive elevation from a giant like L'Oreal really more authentic? Isn't it just swapping one kind of gatekeeping price for another scale and maybe data?
That's a fair challenge. I think the difference is in how desire is built. LVMH often makes you want it because it's hard to get. L'Oreal seems to be trying to make you want it because you feel connected to the brand story part of the community. Maybe you can't afford the runway piece, but you buy the lipstick, you watch the show online, you feel included somehow. It's a different kind of loyalty loop.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's the kicker, the real irony that Abigail highlights. LVMH already runs a massively successful Coliseum.
Right. Sephora.
Exactly. It's their own internal beauty Coliseum. 2,700 stores worldwide, generates incredible loyalty, fanatical followings.
And it does it all without exclusion. You just walk in. Anyone can. You engage with luxury beauty brands in a totally accessible environment.
So LVMH knows how to do mass aspiration incredibly well, makes billions from it. But they seem to keep that model walled off in beauty, while fashion sticks rigidly to the old scarcity rules.
It seems like a major strategic blind spot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Got a category bias. Their main focus is protecting the high margins and exclusivity of their core fashion and leather goods, the hard luxury.
Meanwhile, L'Oreal is building up its attack plan, borrowing from the very model LVMH uses successfully elsewhere.
And they have the tools to do it. Let's talk about L'Oreal's arsenal here because it's significant.
Yeah, the resources are pretty staggering.
Okay, first, the money. L'Oreal's sitting on something like $15 billion in cash ready to deploy. And the timing. Perfect. The luxury market started softening in 2025.
So while LVMH might be busy protecting its current brand's margins,
L'Oreal is in a position to go shopping. They could potentially pick up struggling independent brands, good names, but ones that are hurting from the downturn, at much better prices.
Right.
It's offense versus defense in a market correction.
and it's not just cash, it's the intel, right? Those beauty licenses, YSL, Prada, Valentino, Armani, obviously, they're not just revenue stream.
There are listening posts, Trojan horses, basically. They give L'Oreal real-time data on who's buying what, where, how messaging lands. Intelligence LVMH just doesn't have for those brands on the beauty side, which often leads fashion trends.
LVMH is the master of the brand image, the mystique. But L'Oreal seems to have mastered the mechanics of modern desire.
Yeah, omnichannel, e-commerce, influencer marketing, the authentic kind, not just celebrity endorsements, AI partnerships like the one with NVIDIA. They seem much more fluent in how to connect with and convert customers digitally, especially younger ones. They're selling an integrated system, not just a product.
Which brings us to the really provocative part of Abergel's analysis. This detailed step-by-step prediction of how L'Oreal could actually build a rival 50 billion luxury fashion empire by 2030. A scenario he thinks LVMH might not even be seriously considering.
It starts logically with winning Armani. So step one, 2025, the Armani win. L'Oreal gets it, arguing the synergy case, the reunification logic, and then immediate signal change.
Ow.
They point a different kind of creative lead, not a traditional designer, but a cultural architect. Think someone like Pharrell Williams, someone who connects across music, art, culture,
Right.
and they stage a massive public resurrection event.
The opposite of the Dior coronation.
Exactly. Maybe a Milan, Piazza Duomo, huge open-air spectacle, thousands there, millions watching online. The message, Armani is back, it's relevant, and everyone's invited. The Coliseum model is proven in high fashion.
Okay, validation achieved. What's next in this scenario?
Phase 2, 2026, 2027, the Kering raid. The prediction here is that Kering may be facing its own financial pressures, becomes a target. L'Oreal makes a play for Yves Saint Laurent fashion.
Wow, YSL. That's a core carrying asset right next to Gucci. That sounds aggressive, hostile even.
Extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
But the logic L'Oreal presents is again about synergy. YSL Beauty, which L'Oreal has run successfully since 2015, needs to be reunited with YSL Fashion to unlock full potential. If Kering needs cash or restructuring.
L'Oreal offers a price that's hard to refuse.
Potentially. And suddenly, L'Oreal has two powerhouse pillar brands, fully integrated. Armani for elegance, YSL for that edgier rebellion. Now the industry has to take notice. This isn't opportunistic. It's a campaign.
Okay, 2 pillars established then.
Phase 3, 2028-2029, the independent sweep. Now, L'Oreal uses that 15 billion war chest and the market downturn to acquire several well-respected but struggling independent brands. Think names like Ferragamo, Missoni, maybe even Valentino if the opportunity arises.
Applying the same playbook to each.
Reunify fashion and beauty where possible, bring in a culturally relevant creative director, stage a big public relaunch event, build a portfolio. By 2029, Abergel estimates this new L'Oreal Luxe fashion division could be hitting 25–30 billion in revenue.
Validating their model again and again, which sets up the final dramatic act.
The end game. 2029-2030, Chanel. The Wertheimer family succession happens. It's inevitable eventually. Chanel, the ultimate prize. Fiercely independent, worth maybe 50 billion plus. It potentially comes into play.
LVMH would surely see this as their ultimate trophy, the final piece for their Vatican.
No doubt, they'll bid high. But Abergel's twist is that L'Oreal might win. Why? Because the Wertheimer advisors, obsessed with preserving Chanel's unique legacy and independence,
Might see LVMH as a corporate machine that would absorb Chanel, potentially dilute its specific culture.
exactly. Whereas L'Oreal, despite its size, has this track record from the beauty licenses of managing multiple distinct brands, allowing them relative independence.
Yeah.
They can argue they'll be a safer custodian.
Pitching themselves not as wanting to add Maison #76 to the LVMH list, but as wanting Chanel to be the absolute crown jewel of their new rival cultural nation.
Precisely. An appeal based on preservation and respect for legacy, contrasting with LVMH's perceived integration machine. And if that narrative holds, checkmate.
So by 2030, in this scenario, LVMH is still the giant, the established Vatican. But right next door stands L'Oreal, a formidable rival empire, equally large in fashion, but built on completely opposite foundations. Scale and access versus scarcity and exclusion.
It's a stunning potential transformation. Arnault built his empire over decades. L'Oreal, leveraging beauty and data, could potentially build a comparable fashion rival in just 5 or 6 years.
It brings us back to that historical analogy Abergel uses, which is really a warning about not seeing the real threat.
The Rome analogy. Rome spent centuries focused on its great rival, Persia. All the attention, the resources went east.
But who actually sacked Rome?
The Visigoths. A group Rome dismissed as disorganized barbarians on their northern frontier. They weren't playing by Rome's rules. They weren't the enemy Rome was watching.
And the parallel for LVMH is?
They see L'Oreal primarily as a partner in beauty, someone who sells their fragrances in Sephora. They might not perceive them as a fundamental threat in fashion because L'Oreal doesn't play by the traditional high fashion rules of exclusivity. They're focused on their existing luxury rivals.
That category blindness again. They might be watching Kering, Richemont.
While L'Oreal is building this massive alternative empire based on scale, data, and access, the very things LVMH utilizes in Sephora but doesn't seem to value for its core brands, L'Oreal has the plan, the money, the intel.
So the big question Abergel leaves us with is, will LVMH, busy polishing the gates of its exclusive Vatican, even notice this other empire rising until, as he puts it, L'Oreal is already inside the gates of luxury drinking their champagne?
And the very first test, the indicator we all need to watch, is Armani. What happens there will tell us if this scenario is truly underway.
Absolutely fascinating. A real potential shift in the luxury landscape. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.